Natalie Chin stood still in her quiet apartment, Houston's spring sunlight filtering through cheap blinds, casting pale gold across the room. She adjusted her graduation cap in the mirror, tilting it just right, her gown pressed and proud. Her hand trembled slightly as she picked up her phone. No new messages, no missed calls. She opened the family group chat. Nothing, not even a thumbs up. Curious, she checked Facebook. Her breath caught. A picture, her parents, her sister Vivian, Uncle Graham, Aunt Marlene, all cheering in the stands of a crowded high school football stadium. Brendan, her cousin, held up a trophy, sweaty and smiling under stadium lights. The caption read, "Proud day for the family. Red heart, go Brendan." She wasn't tagged, not even mentioned. "You don't forget someone you love," she whispered. "You choose not to see them." She had once believed indifference was passive, but today she saw it for what it was, active, deliberate, like choosing not to show up for someone's beginning because you never saw value in their journey. At the graduation hall, Natalie stood among a sea of mortarboards and bursting applause. Families screamed names, mothers threw roses, brothers waved posters. Natalie clutched her program like a life raft. Her name was called. No cheers. She turned and scanned the rows. Empty. She left the stage with her diploma in hand and a smile forced so tight it could crack glass. Later that night, her phone vibrated. A group photo. The same family. Champagne, a cake with Brendan won, scrawled in red icing. Her seat at the dining table had been filled, replaced, as if she had never existed in their version of success. She scrolled through their digital lives. Instagram, Facebook, tagged memories. Brendan, dozens of photos. His birthday, his trophies, even his messy dorm move-in day. Vivian, her ballet recitals, prom dress try-ons, scholarship wins. Natalie, nothing. Not even her science fair win in 10th grade. She tapped into her own photo archive. One post stood out. A draft from 2 years ago. Her valedictorian speech. It had been uploaded, never shared, unpublished, invisible. They didn't forget, she whispered to herself. They erased. There was something cruel in the act of pretending you were never proud. Back at the house, just for a moment, she needed to grab her old files. Vivian was out. Her parents were at some dinner. The kitchen smelled faintly of stale coffee and lemon disinfectant. She noticed a small stack of mail on the counter, mostly junk, half buried by newspaper. Something stuck out, blue ink on cream envelope, addressed to her. She pulled it from the trash. Finalist, State Science Showcase. A letter from a year ago. Unopened. She stared at it, her fingers tightening. A voice echoed in her memory. Her mother's. We don't need another excuse for her to get cocky. She wasn't forgotten. She was trimmed out like a bad scene in a family movie. Her achievements didn't fit the story they wanted to tell. She walked to the fridge and pinned her Rice University scholarship offer with a magnet shaped like a smiling sun. It stood there for a beat, the lone celebration of her own success. Then she took it down, lit a match, watched it burn in the sink, watched the words curl and blacken. Flames don't scream. They whisper. I wasn't angry, she said quietly. I was finished. Across town, Vivian's college acceptance had been a spectacle. Balloons, a TikTok video of her crying, a house full of relatives clapping. Brendan's last football win had a custom t-shirt campaign and a live stream. Natalie's win sat quietly in a file folder unclaimed. Her photo in the yearbook had the wrong quote. No one corrected it. That night, just past midnight, her phone chimed. An email. Subject, not an accident. Body, they didn't forget you. They planned it. No signature. No reply option. The light above her flickered. Her eyes shifted toward the window. Outside, behind the hedges, the shape of someone watching. And for the first time, Natalie didn't feel forgotten. She felt hunted. 15 years later, Natalie Chinmaddox sat by the bay window of her minimalist home in Portland, Oregon. Her life was deliberate, no clutter, no noise. The view stretched across Forest Park, fog lifting from pine trees. Her firm, Maddox Design Solutions, had just secured another clean energy startup as a client. Quiet wins, quiet life. Then the envelope arrived. Certified. From Houston. She tore it open with one practiced motion. A letter from the estate office of Jameson and Wells. Re. The estate of Lillian Chin. Natalie's breath caught. She hadn't thought of her grandmother in years. Her death was quiet, like everything else in Natalie's family when it didn't benefit the narrative. The letter explained that the will had been reopened after a legal challenge. The trust, once believed to be distributed, had in fact never been executed properly. She was owed $5 million. Unclaimed. Hidden. If silence has a price, she muttered, this is what mine cost. A video call with the estate attorney confirmed it. Mr. Rivas, with his lined face and clean diction, laid it out. The original trust, Ms. Chin, named you as sole beneficiary. However, a codicil was filed approximately 5 years ago, stating that you refused the funds. I never did. That's where things get complicated. The codicil bore her digital signature, time-stamped, notarized. She never signed it. Some people forge signatures, she said. My family forged my silence. Next came the guardianship records. Her father and aunt had filed a custodial claim back when she was 21, citing mental instability and a risk of self-harm. Attached was an affidavit signed by a Dr. L. Green. I've never met that doctor, Natalie said, jaw tightening. The records claimed she was unfit to manage finances. A temporary conservatorship had been approved, just long enough to lock her out. They didn't think I'd come back to ask questions. She hung up, called Elijah Tully, her Oregon-based attorney. He reviewed the case over lunch, his eyes narrowing behind square lenses. They buried it well. Forgery, misrepresentation, custodial abuse. Problem is, the estate's already closed. We'd need a court to unseal probate and prove intent. Natalie stared out the window. I need to find the originals. Something they didn't expect me to remember. The next day, she flew to Houston. She didn't visit family. She visited a rental storage facility off Delano Street. One she'd forgotten she still paid for, or maybe she hadn't. Unit 14B. Dust rose like memory. A stack of old boxes, labeled in her teenage handwriting. College docs. Rice Finade. Letters private. She opened one and froze. A flash drive taped to the inside of a folder. She plugged it into her laptop inside the rental car, heart pounding. Encrypted files. Emails. Her father and aunt. Subject lines. Trust transfer. Custody cover. Brendan's access. They discussed the trust as a lost cause, unless Natalie could be sidelined. Then, audio clips. Brendan's voice. She's not even in Texas anymore. Just say she ghosted. Her father. The court won't check if she doesn't contest. Her aunt. What Lillian doesn't know won't hurt her. Natalie hit pause. Her hands trembled, not from rage, from clarity. "I didn't just walk away," she whispered. "They pushed me." Elijah listened to the files the next morning. "This is enough to reopen proceedings. Civil, maybe criminal, but it'll get ugly." "I'm not afraid of ugly," she replied, "but I won't become it." He looked at her. "You sure you don't want to go straight for prosecution?" She shook her head. "My grandmother wanted unity. Justice isn't always vengeance. Sometimes it's truth, and truth makes a hell of a sound when you stop trying to silence it." She asked for one formal mediation session, one chance for them to come clean. "If they lie, I'll burn everything down legally." He nodded. "The strongest people don't raise their voice," Natalie added. "They raise their boundaries." That night, she walked back to her car after dinner. The air smelled like rain. She clicked her key fob. The headlights blinked. Then the alarm shrieked. Her passenger window cracked. She approached slowly. Inside, nothing was taken, but something was left. A worn, leather-bound book. Her childhood diary. It hadn't left her old bedroom since she was 15. On the inside cover, a sticky note. "You were never supposed to see that drive." Natalie looked up at the shadow across the street. No movement, but she knew. They knew she was coming. Natalie stared at the subject line in her inbox. "Family dinner. Let's reconnect." The sender was Darlene. Polite. "Hello." A plastic smile in email form. "We believe in second chances," it said. "Dinner at Jonathan's house. No lawyers, just family." She read it twice. Once for the words, once for what was missing. She clicked accept. Sometimes silence deserved to sit at the table too. Friday arrived. The house on Chestnut Lane looked the same. Too much the same. Same rust on the gate. Same peeling paint on the porch columns. The yard gnome still missing an eye. The house hadn't aged. It had calcified. She rang the bell. Jonathan opened the door like greeting a stranger from a wrong delivery. No hug. Not even a smile. "Natalie," he said, stiff. Vivian appeared from the hallway with 2 mugs. "Tea?" she asked without making eye contact. Natalie followed them in. Brendan leaned against the kitchen counter. Khakis, collared shirt, wide grin that didn't reach his eyes. Look who finally remembered their roots. Natalie noticed the living room walls. Brendan's football photo still hung center. Her senior photo missing. Her valedictorian medal gone. A dusty space where it used to be. The door to her old room, padlocked. They didn't renovate, she thought. They erased. Darlene stood at the dining room table, arms stretched open. "Shall we begin?" Dinner smelled of reheated lasagna and overcooked politeness. Darlene gave a practice speech. Families drift. People misunderstand. But forgiveness isn't weakness, it's strength. Natalie said nothing. And we just want to find a way forward. Natalie reached into her purse, slid a folded paper across the table. The forged codicil. Silence fell like a dropped glass. Jonathan blinked. "That's not what this dinner is about." Natalie looked at him. "No, it's about the dinner you owe me. The one that never came. Graduation. Scholarships. Years." Vivian sipped her tea, hands trembling slightly. Natalie pulled out 2 more documents, laid them flat. Mental health affidavit. Financial custodianship request. All forged. Jonathan's face went pale. "This is dramatic." Darlene interrupted. "We used a firm. Maybe they." Brendan chuckled. "You were always theatrical." Natalie's voice sharpened. Being gaslit is exhausting. Being gaslit with power of attorney? That's a felony. Vivian put her mug down with a clink. I told them not to go that far, she whispered. I told them. Everyone froze. Natalie leaned back, eyes on Vivian. Not with warmth, with recognition. Jonathan stood as if to take control. We'll release the trust, he said. We'll sign the papers. Just no lawsuits. Darlene chimed in. It's not worth destroying what little is left. Natalie stayed seated. You don't get to decide what's worth healing. That's not remorse. That's damage control. Vivian reached into her purse, handed Natalie a sealed envelope. Natalie frowned. It's from Grandma, Vivian said quietly. She gave it to me before she passed. Told me to give it to you if this ever came out. Natalie didn't open it. Not yet. She left quietly, envelope pressed to her chest. Back in her car, under the street lamp glow, she opened it. The letter was written in shaky cursive. Soft ink. Gentle regret. Natalie, I failed to protect you. Family loyalty is not family morality. Don't let them define your light. The strongest branches are the ones that grow in silence. Her throat tightened, but she didn't cry. She felt seen. Driving home, her phone buzzed. A voicemail from Brendan. You think you won? You think this ends here? She stopped at a red light, replayed it, then said aloud to no one and everyone, You never said you were sorry. That's all I ever needed.